If you wonder why golf is so hard to learn and to play to a decent standard, let me share with you my experience as a 22 handicap golfer who started to play golf about 7 years ago. What I learned is that this game is not something you can just pick up overnight. If you want to start playing golf, you need to be willing to be in for a long game. In this video, I'm going to point out 3 major aspects which I had to learn the hard way, but keep you going to eventually become a good golfer. Well, the good news is that most beginner golfers, once they started, keep on progressing with becoming better at golf. Once you realize what your capabilities are and how to improve them over time, you're going to realize that you still can attain a decent level of golf over time. I made the mistake about 7 years ago, thinking that golf would be quite easy to pick up. Taking a few lessons with a pro and playing a few times out on the course would be sufficient to just go and play away. However, this was not the case, and the very first harsh personal frustration to face during my very early golfing career, I took more lessons than expected and tried to train harder, but things would not really fall into place that quickly and that easily. So I eventually began to accept that golf is not something you can just pick up and be good at. It requires lots and lots of practice, hard work, and foremost, patience. I know that patience is a trait which in today's world is not that much embraced. On the contrary, we tend to look for a quick fix or a shortcut to get somewhere really fast. But with most skills and crafts, these cannot be acquired in a matter of a few weeks or months. In fact, it takes years. Golf, as I have experienced it firsthand, goes the same way. Be patient and keep at it, and you will finally see the positive results over time. On top of embracing the patience to finally see some positive result, discipline is another trait well needed for staying successfully in this long game. As said before, to acquire the skills and a decent level of golf to your personal standards, it is necessary to allocate time for regular practice sessions. In the beginning, I thought it was sufficient to just go away and whack a few balls on the range for a few minutes to warm up before playing around, or to just take the odd pro lesson once in a while. But in the end, golf is a craft linked to learning techniques and also to working on your mindset to become better at the game. So, if you are willing to adopt a strong discipline and go out and practice as often and as regularly as you possibly can, you will finally reap the rewards. Even during the winter months, when the golfing season, for example, is long over in Europe, or not longer possible in Europe, many golf clubs and courses at least are in a position to keep their driving ranges or practice grounds open for you to practice during the off-season. To finish off, as to why you can say that you are in for the long game with golf, is that this game simply requires a decent amount of time. It can be literally quite a time-consuming thing to do at the end of the day. A round of golf in itself, just to give an example, can take about 2.5 hours if you play 9 holes. If you play the full 18 holes, for example, it can easily be up to a minimum of 4.5 hours or even longer that you spend out on a course. Now, when you also consider spending a decent amount of practice sessions on the driving range, for example, each session in itself can also take up to 2 hours, depending on what you practice and how extensive each session you want to be. So golf indeed requires you to make a significant investment of your time. Not only the investment into time for a round of golf or practice session can be actually quite daunting. As I experienced a few times, something has to give in your spare time or during your holidays. It can be either golf or another activity, as it becomes very hard to squeeze both into the same day. What I also had to learn and accept at the end of the day is that the time you invest is not limited to just a few months, but actually years, if you have to put in all the practice to pick up the sport. I learned that people coming from a ball sport such as tennis or hockey have a jump start, as they already have a good feel for playing a ball and master similar technique to golf. So this makes it somehow easier and less time consuming for them. I unfortunately did not bring any of these prerequisites. Anyway, even if you have an easier access to becoming better at golf due to your tennis or hockey background, for example, everyone still needs to put in the patience, discipline, and time. Some less, some more. However, the good news is that if you are willing to embark on such a journey and are prepared to walk the extra mile and sacrifice your precious spare time for a time-intensive game like golf, the progress and results you make over time can be truly impressive. At the end of the day, as with everything in life, if you are prepared to give and make the effort and have the means to do so, you are most likely to succeed in the end. So, these are the reasons why golf is a long game. It requires patience, discipline/hard work, and your willingness to invest a significant amount of time over a longer period. Accepting these facts and regarding golf as a craft to acquire over time, you eventually will reap the rewards. I hope this video shed some light on the truth that not many talk about or prepare you for. It's not to scare you, but to avoid any misconceptions and to spare you the disappointments like I have experienced during my golfing journey. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I see you in the next one.